Since we've been so busy covering all the shows we love, let's do a little Week in Geek, get people caught up on the news, rumors, and trailers out there. Let's start with a big trailer, a teaser trailer that came out recently. Well, today actually, the day of recording, and that is Captain America: Brave New World. So I actually enjoyed this trailer. There is a premise for it. After meeting with newly elected U.S. President Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford, in his Marvel Cinematic Universe debut, Sam finds himself in the middle of an international incident. He must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. So I like the line where he goes, "I'm still getting used to the new look," to Harrison Ford. He's like, "Yeah, the mustache." It's like, no, like, you're a completely new person. That was kind of funny. And he wants to make Captain America an official military position. But as we see, Isaiah is not about that life. And he comes in the middle of this meeting where it looks like Sam's about to maybe accept this offer. And Isaiah pops in and starts fucking everybody up. So that was kind of a cool scene to see him come back. So they are tying things in from his show.
So that was Isaiah from...
Because he said it.
Yeah, I heard him say Isaiah no or something like that. And I was like, Isaiah, as in the original Captain America from Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, right.
So that's wild. He's trying to assassinate the president. So, I mean, There's obviously... Somebody's got to be manipulating him there. But so, obviously, we heard Dr. Samuel Stern in this trailer, who is from The Incredible Hulk. I guess that might not be obvious. I had captions on. So, it showed Dr. Stern when he was talking. But that's the guy at the end of The Incredible Hulk, which is technically MCU, even though it was kind of before, who has the Hulk blood bleed into his open wound, and his head starts growing, and he starts getting this crazed, but satisfied look on his face, and it's like, oh, that's the Thinker. So that's, I don't think it's the Thinker. Is it the Thinker? That sounds too stupid. But I guess it is comics. The Leader. There you go.
The Leader.
I was like, something about that does not feel right saying.
The Thinker.
The Thinker. The Leader. But so he's talking, and so I obviously think he might be manipulating Isaiah here, but he's definitely going to be the reason Red Hulk comes out to play. He's definitely going to be behind that whole aspect because he was the one messing with the Hulk blood in that movie. So yeah, I think he's definitely going to be behind that.
Yeah, my expectations for this movie haven't been very high, but this first trailer got him up for sure.
Same.
I enjoyed the look of Sam Wilson as Captain America, the new suit with the wings, him flying around. He slices something in half as he's flying. So, and it looks like he does that kick and then does a 360 spin off of him, and then lands on the ground. It's he's either been working out, maybe he did a little super serum, or it's just Captain America, he has the skills now.
He's got some vibranium knees going on, or exoskeleton giving him extra strength. In Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he held up the weight of a car, and it was okay, you do have the wings propelling you, but your arms would not be able to be holding on to that. So the physics there didn't make sense because you're not super soldier strength, but that's whatever. No, his look was great. I thought some of the CGI was a little off, but this is a teaser trailer. They have time. They're gonna remaster it. They're gonna fine tune it. It's gonna look better. So some people are complaining about CGI. I'm not worried about that. It looked, like you said, I wasn't excited for this at all, but I watched it and was like, okay, that wasn't bad. And I don't know if you caught it, but some people are saying, and it looked like it. I was kind of thinking watching it. In a couple of the scenes, some missiles get fired, and then Sam's flying in with the rocket boosted, vibranium Captain America suit, and there's a big rocky deal behind him, and he's flying over the open ocean. And it looks pretty solidly evidence has been provided online. It looks like it's Tiamat, the celestial that's in the Atlantic Sea. So it looks like they're fighting around that thing. So we're finally apparently going to be getting...
Wow.
Acknowledging the massive celestial bursting out of the freaking Earth's core that's in the Indian Ocean. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, it looked like that was looks confirmed. So that's exciting cool. Trailer though. Pretty good.
Yeah. The shot of Red Hulk at the end, that was definitely CGI that needs to be worked on. But it was definitely just cool to get him teased at the end.
Right. Yeah, it was a little rubbery, but I mean, it was such a brief thing. You can only really tell if you watch it a few times, look closely. But yeah, they'll fine tune it. I think all in all, I would give this trailer like a B plus, which is way more than I expected.
Yeah, and we saw Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes,
and it was confirmed. I don't think we talked about this on the pod. He's confirmed as George Washington Bridge.
Nope, just George Washington, back from the dead.
And he's a former mercenary and a high-ranking agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
Or was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., so he's probably turned, because it looks like he's not a good guy in this movie.
Yeah.
So disappointing, but I'm sure he'll still do a great job at the role.
Yeah, I don't have doubts in his ability. I have doubts in what the MCU is doing, but I'm hoping for the best. I just hope they make it worth it to the point that you literally did reshoots to bring this character into the script that was not there before these reshoots. So that's not a typical thing. Reshoots typically cameos they'll throw in, they touch up some stuff, but it's typically not bringing in an entirely new character into the plot of the movie. So right. I'm hoping it's worth it.
I'm surprised he was in the trailer at all. With how soon it's been.
They knew people wanted something coming from that, I think. Well, and also, if you're going to pay the money to do reshoots to bring in a high caliber actor such as Giancarlo Esposito, you might as well show off the goods in the teaser trailer to let people know who weren't following along with the news, you know? Like some casual is just like, oh, Giancarlo's in this. Okay.
Harrison Ford. Oh,
right? Yeah.
All right, let's move on to another Marvel trailer, a show Dave has been waiting for so long to come out. I mean, he's been following every name, every actress that's cast for it. But the infamous Agatha Harkness finds herself down and out of power after the suspicious goth teen helps break her free from a distorted spell. Her interest is piqued when he begs her to take him on the legendary Witch's Road, a magical gauntlet of trials that, if survived, rewards a witch with what they're missing. Together, Agatha and this mysterious teen pull together a desperate coven and set off down, down, down the road.
Well, lesbian witches with twins didn't really pay off in Star Wars. Let's see if the MCU can do lesbian witches with twins.
Oh my gosh.
Because I think that's Wanda's kid, that mysterious teen that's with them. It looks like Billy. So I'm thinking the twins are going to get brought into this in some regard.
He's darker now, though.
Yeah. Well, he's older. I'm assuming, I don't know. I'm just guessing. It seems like that would make sense. And Aubrey Plaza plays the other green witch, who is apparently they were ex-lovers, which is why it wasn't just a random lesbian witch comment. It's legitimately part of the plot that I was reading the other day. So yeah, like you said, I don't care. But I will say, I have no interest in this. It's not my style, and I didn't care about it before. But I will say the trailer, I watched it and was like, oh, that's probably actually going to get a pretty good reception because it came off a lot darker than a lot of other MCU projects have had. It almost felt like American Horror Story in some of these clips where it was like, oh, dang, okay, that's a straight up evil blood-covered demon going on right there. So it looks darker. So I think the crowd that did want this, I think they're going to love it. I just don't find myself in that crowd.
Yeah, I think I'm more in that crowd. I'm not definitely like super excited for this show, but I think it's my wife, she liked the trailer. She said she wants to watch it, so
yeah.
And it's definitely a genre that Marvel hasn't really gone down besides Werewolf by Night. That's kind of closest thing I could think to, but more of with the teen aspect. I hope it doesn't get too kind of young adult style, I hope it's more adult themed and it keeps those tones, but we'll see.
Do we have a rating? Like MA, TV 14?
I imagine it's 14.
Probably, yeah. It looked so dark that was the only reason I even considered that question. But no, you're right. It's definitely going to be TV 14.
Yeah.
But no, I could see. I didn't actually check comments or anything on this, which is weird because normally I watch a trailer on Instagram. First thing I do is open the comments, which is probably a toxic trait. But I didn't check on this. But I would imagine the reception was pretty good.
The great men of Instagram we've met again. When you open up the comments or something. Those algorithms really get you sometimes. But San Diego Comic-Con is July 25th, so we should be getting a lot of news about Agatha, Captain America 4, Deadpool will already be out, so there's no news to drop about that. But
let's go.
And there looks like Marvel is going to bring it for Comic-Con. It's going to be like a bigger news cycle where they might find some more casting confirmations.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they skip last year?
I think so.
Wasn't DC like the only one who showed up for something like that? It was a weird San Diego Comic-Con year, so they better show out.
Exactly. All right. And the final trailer, Gladiator 2. Now, you drafted this movie, correct?
I did.
You did.
I did.
And I was worried about this movie with, kind of the things that were coming out while it was being filmed and the budget that they had at the same time. But this trailer was pretty sick. I know some people weren't a fan of the score, but I thought it was still cool. And the premise is, years after witnessing the death of Maximus at the hands of his uncle, Lucius must enter the Colosseum after the powerful emperors of Rome conquer his home. With rage in his heart and the future of the empire at stake, he looks to the past to find strength and honor to return the glory of Rome and its people. So as we know, it's an amazing stacked cast, and Denzel looks like a really cool character, I don't know exactly who he's playing or what side he's on, but
Yeah, I don't know either.
but I love the wide shots of the city you see, and then the Colosseum, and like that war that's going on where they're like sieging the castle wall. So it looks like it's gonna be pretty cool, pretty epic, like a big epic war Roman movie.
Dude, yeah, this looked great. So I kind of missed the synopsis reading you just did there, and I haven't read it because I got a phone call from the wife I had to answer. But the main character, Paul Mescal plays him. Is he the son of Russell Crowe's character? Or he was in the first Gladiator, right? I thought he was a kid in that movie. I just couldn't remember if it was the son of him or if it was maybe the son of Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. After witnessing the death of Maximus at the hands of his uncle.
The story of Maximus. So his uncle was Maximus?
Yes.
Okay.
No, his uncle was
Joaquin
Phoenix. Yeah.
Okay, and that's why he was the former heir to the empire, because he was the lineage of... Okay. So there's no relationship to Russell Crowe in this movie at all. Because I was thinking, I was telling that to somebody, and I was like, well, a key point of Gladiator was his wife and son were killed. So, but I do remember a kid who was like running out to him in the Gladiator pits there, so it must have been okay. Okay. So that's Paul Mescal, but dude, it looks beautiful. The shot of the Colosseum with the water flooded in it was awesome. It makes it even more so awesome that that's pretty closely historically accurate. Like they actually did that.
That's like crazy, dude. They had the shit battles and shit in there.
How were they able to seal the Colosseum that well back then to turn it into a simulated ocean? Like that's wild. So it just looks beautifully shot. The costume design is top notch. It reminds me of like House of the Dragon quality, Game of Thrones quality. Like I love seeing these creative, culturally tied pieces of armor and all these different looks and stuff. Like it looks amazing. Only issue I had with the trailer was the Jay-Z music, because I feel like there's nothing better to really sink you into period piece than to have, rap playing over it or something like that when you're watching something about ancient Rome. So I get the song has the lyrics like blood in the Colosseum at one point, but I was just like, I would have preferred something else for this trailer. It would have felt more epic, but to each their own.
They like to do that in trailers to where the song's lyrics match up perfectly with the movie. It's like, you don't have to go that hard.
Didn't have to
just give us a nice instrumental. You don't need words. Just give us a good John Williams orchestra going in the background, and you'll be fine every time.
Right? Like who's scoring this? Let one of his epic things be partially used for this. I don't know, but it was whatever. I'm still excited for it. I think it looks great, and I think my box office is going to do pretty well with it because I think a lot of people are excited for this.
Yeah, $300 million movie. I mean, the set design and the costumes better be sick, right?
Isn't it the most, the highest budget a motion picture's ever had? Something like that? I thought I read something like that.
Endgame wasn't $300 million, so...
No, I'm looking it up. Audience, I am looking it up, and I'll tell you one thing. Oh, what? That can't be right. Okay, this says with a net budget. So I don't know if that's different from the other stuff that's reported, but this says...
That's advertising and stuff?
Okay, so that doesn't count then. Why are they doing that? That's not what I asked. Including net budget, Star Wars Force Awakens is the most, $447 million, but...
That's like a $20 million Super Bowl commercial thrown in there.
That's insane. Yeah, I'm not looking for net. Jurassic World was $432 million, Rise of Skywalker $416, but that's not... Production budget would be what you would want, right?
Come on, Jamie.
Taking way longer. What the hell? Now it's $533 million for Force Awakens when you type that in, so I give up. Apparently Force Awakens is the most, though. That's all I got.
That comes out
Comes out on
November 22nd.
There you go.
End of the year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have a couple more pieces of movie news. So Denis Villeneuve's next film, which might be Dune 3, and a new Star Wars film, will now release on the same day, December 18th, 2026. I know you already talked about on Instagram that you would be seeing the Dune movie first, which is sad to hear, but also true, and probably what I will be doing as well. But damn, like, that's going to be tough for the box office draft, too, when we do that, because what are you going to do? You know, if they come out the same day, there's going to be fighting in the box office, but I'm sure they'll both be successful.
I'll take Dune on my box office, too.
And we don't know for sure is it the Rey movie?
Who knows, bro? I'm pretty sure it still is, but there, of course, I mean, classic Disney. There's been a bunch of reports that come out like, well, they may not be doing this. This may be changing, but I think Daisy Ridley and Rey is still set to be the main part of it.
Well,
but
we can't wait.
Yeah,
I mean, and Star Wars can't delay again. Like, a movie needs to come out on this date. Like, if it doesn't, there's serious repercussions. All right, Star Wars, so figure it out.
Yeah, a little bit.
And we got Shrek 5. July 2026 with but Michael Myers, Cameron Diaz, and Eddie Murphy are coming back, so that's a good sign.
Nice.
What's your relationship with Shrek? How did you like it growing up?
Loved Shrek 1. I watched it with my buddies Josh and Molly growing up because that was early, 2001. Yeah, so I was 9 years old when that thing came out. So I loved Shrek 1. Shrek 2 is an instant classic. So many memeable and gifable moments that came out of Shrek 2. I never watched them past that, but I loved the first two. Like, I was all about it. I think I saw them both in theaters, but I didn't watch past Shrek 2. So
I think I'm the same way.
Okay, I've heard Shrek 3 is good, but Shrek 4 not so much or something. But I don't know. Who would have guessed?
Well, they're going back to the swamps. So, dude, 2026, because that's gonna make money. Like,
Popping
either
off?
if it's good or bad, like the box office draft will be good for the next couple years.
Absolutely.
And speaking of the box office draft, we have a quick update for you. Despicable Me 4, JD's latest movie, has crossed 250 million at the box office. I think it's been out for 2 weeks. Maybe it's going into its third weekend, I'm pretty sure.
It came out the third.
Okay. Yeah, third weekend.
Yeah.
Technically.
Coming
Right,
up.
yeah.
Well, hold on. The third. That's
at the end.
That's a weird day to come out. Whatever. Anyway, continue.
And Dave's first pick, Inside Out 2, is at $1.25 billion.
I never doubted it. I knew it was going to be just as good as the first one.
You did it. Yeah. It was good though. I saw it in theaters. It was pretty good. Not as good as the first one, but the first one, it was still really close, and it had, the anxiety and embarrassment. Those are cool, two cool new emotions to add, and it is a good movie for kids to see, because kids do have these new emotions they've never felt before, and they don't know how to deal with them. So seeing a movie like this, I think it's good for kids.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. By the way, real quick, Despicable Me's only had one weekend. It came out last Wednesday, so 265 million after one weekend is pretty freaking good. So we'll see what happens this weekend. Every time.
So for our totals, Team 1, yours truly, 2 out of 6 movies, and I am at $508 million. Not a lot. But next release is Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's go. That's going to blow up.
Yeah.
JD's at around $700 million, and he has 3 out of 6 movies. And Despicable Me just came out, like we talked about. And Dave has 4 out of 6 movies. Really went hard on the beginning half of the year. But he is at $2.19 billion, and it might be a little bit more. I don't know if Inside Out...
2.58 now.
Right, because Inside Out went up a lot.
Yeah.
So 2.5. And your next release is Gladiator 2 in November. I think you have one more in December after that. So Dave went hard, and then he has to wait a little bit for the end of the year.
It's going to be rough because I think you're going to pass me up. You have... The only thing you have is the Mufasa and Sonic 3 being the same day release. So it does drop your ceiling a little bit there. But it's going to be interesting because those both drop the 20th. My last one's War of the Rohirrim, which I am not feeling confident about. And that drops the week before. That drops the 13th. So we're probably going to be coming down to we're watching our last movies drop to see who pulls this out. Whereas JD, not counting him out, he's got Joker in October. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
But I don't think Venom 3 is going to do much. He's relying on Venom 3 and then Moana 2. So Moana 2 will probably kill. We might have a 3-way deal where we are waiting to see what happens in December on this. So
yeah.
I mean, I guess to be fair, we had that until March of the following year for this year. We're waiting to see what Dune did. But this might be close. I didn't think I had a chance until Inside Out stepped up. So we'll see. I might actually be in the running by the end of this. I don't know.
Have you been watching anything lately, Dave?
I haven't been as much. I was reading X-Force, Uncanny X-Force, which we covered as a podcast, and then we had a massive technical difficulty in which we lost 2/3 of one of the recordings, which ruins the whole episode because who were we talking to for 2/3 of the episode? So that was a heartbreaker. So I was reading that for a bit. I was reading Dune again. I'm still reading Dune, and it's just getting better and better. Like it really is. I'm loving reading Dune right now.
It gets better as the book goes on, for sure.
Bro, it's crazy. Like it's just so. Every chapter, I'm getting a little bit more into it. Like it's been really good. So I'm thoroughly enjoying that. But all I'm watching right now, other than this, The Boys, not impressed with. The Acolyte, not impressed with. House of the Dragon, incredible. But I am going through a Game of Thrones season 5 right now. And I gotta say, I've said it a bunch of times before, and I just rewatched it again, and I hold firm to my stance. Hardhome is top 5 best Game of Thrones episodes of all the seasons, including House of the Dragon. Like, Hardhome's incredible, bro. So
you gotta give it to D&D for that too, because that happens off page.
You do. I will say, though, I am noticing a little bit more here and there from season 5 where it's like, that was a little D&D-ish. Like, that was, when you compare it to the first 4 seasons and the dialogue and stuff like that, I'm not season 5 is still amazing. But I have picked up a few things like, yeah, that was a little sloppy there, but yeah, still great. What about you?
I saw Quiet Place day 1 in theaters.
Oh.
So I wasn't blown away, but it was still a solid entry into the series. I still think the first one's the best. Like, the first one's just a good movie.
Okay.
The cat was probably the best actor. No, I'm just kidding. The actors are good. But the cat was, like, really well trained, or, like, I don't know how maybe it was, like, an AI cat. I have no idea, but it should get some type of animal award for that. Lupita was good, and Eddie from Stranger Things.
Joe Quinn. Human Torch.
That's right. So yeah, it was good, but they didn't explain things as much as I thought they would for it being day 1. I thought they would kind of go into things more, like the aliens kind of attack, and then in the next scene they know to be quiet. So it's like, oh, like you guys kind of just figured it out, I guess. So it was really explained. They didn't really explain that very much.
That's kind of weak. I don't think people would figure it out that quickly. Like,
right. So it was still a solid movie, and it maybe didn't need the day 1. Maybe the day 1 thing kind of got me thinking of how they would explain things more. But I guess the cool aspect about Quiet Place is there's just these crazy, bloodthirsty alien monsters on the planet, and they're there to just wreak havoc.
So, do you get any more background on the aliens themselves, or it's just the same deal? You just see them a little bit more than the first 2 movies, but you don't really get a background on anything about them.
I think they explain how, like, they kind of, like, the meteor they come on kind of thing, but I don't think there's, like, much to it, no.
I guess you don't have to explain every aspect of properties like that. But, again, when you say day 1, you either explain it or you have them having a hell of a time figuring out what the hell's going on. But having them figure it out quickly seems to kind of defeat the purpose. But interesting. Yeah. I'll probably wait till streaming then.
Yeah, probably the best idea.
Yeah. And
I also watched Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. I've seen it before, but the OG Twilight Zone episode with William Shatner, where he's on the plane, dude, and there's the man on the plane.
Thing on the outside on the wing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You can tell it's just a guy in a suit though with like tennis shoes on. It's so funny, and like he doesn't, he like defies gravity. Like one time he looks like the monster looks over at William Shatner, and then he like jumps up backwards and just like floats off and then falls back, and it's like,
What?
how could you do that on a moving plane? Like, okay then.
You know what's funny about that? The first time I saw that or found out about that was The Simpsons. So I used to always watch The Simpsons, and every year they have Treehouse of Horrors, and it's like Halloween themed mini episodes. And one of them was Bart is seeing this little creature, this gremlin on the plane of the wing, and he's like messing with it, and he's taking it apart on the outside, and Bart's freaking out. Nobody will listen. And then I later found out, oh, it's a Twilight reference, a Twilight episode reference, or Twilight Zone. Good Lord. Yeah, interesting. By the way, before we cut this off, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger's Tide, $378 million. That's the highest. So Gladiator did not break that, which is rough.
That was a flop, too.
I was going to say, I don't think that movie did good. Wasn't that the third one?
No, that's like 5.
Or like the fourth? Or okay. I know what was the third one? That's a open-ended question. I just tossed a dead fish on your lap. I don't know what it was. But Stranger Tides did bring in $1 million. Or $1 billion.
$1 million.
So it did bring in $1 million out of 380 spent. No, it brought in $1 billion, so not amazing, but still in the positive.
All right. Thank you for joining us on this mini but kind of long Week in Geek episode.
28 minutes?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Whysosidious, a Nerd Podcast. Joining me today is my co-host David Cochran. And today we are covering episodes 6 and 7 of the Star Wars show The Acolyte. Critically acclaimed, not controversial at all.
It's great.
But before we get into it, don't forget to check out some of our other episodes. Of course, if you want to see me, yours truly, on the Galactic Core podcast covering Acolyte and The Boys, episode 5s. Check it out. It was a good episode.
You know, real quick, I'm sorry. I can't believe we haven't mentioned that before this episode. That was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can't believe
I mentioned it.
Promoted
I mentioned
that.
it.
Did you?
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So check me out over there. So.
All right. Good man.
And our continuing coverage of House of the Dragon, of course, heating up. Half the season's over. Still got 4 more episodes. Can't wait. And our latest novice nerd on Cassandra Nova, of course, making her debut in Deadpool 3 later this month. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube. Always posting fresh content. JD's going hard over there on TikTok, comic reviews, top 5s, you got it. And this will be your official spoiler warning. If you haven't seen The Acolyte, episode 6 and 7, please go do so. If you haven't seen Acolyte episode 3, you know, or if you have and you haven't seen 7 yet, you might think we're talking about episode 3, but we're not. So, quick summary: Osha wakes up in the Sith cave, dazed and confused. Walks up on Kamir in the hot tub, looking for revenge, but he speaks to her about the flaws of the Jedi and the ways of the dark side, making good points along the way. May, in disguise on Soul's ship, that's a tongue twister, tries to stay undercover while he goes through the existential crisis and a broke-down ship, but the team is really not doing well here. Let's get it together. But the team leaking confidence. But the team of Basil and Pip figure out the mystery and lead May to get stunned by Soul. A lot of stun setting in this era. In my time, they just let it fly. Also, Vernestra goes to Kofar to find the Carnage from last episode. So let's start with Osha. Obviously, she wakes up in his lair on this unknown planet. She's about to kill him with his pants down. There's a little sexual tension going on in this scene, which is a little weird. But his lightsaber up close looks pretty sick. I like the detail of it. Pretty cool. I don't think we've seen it up that close in the light yet. But he when she picks it up, he says, "How does it feel? Feels good, doesn't it, to have one in your hand again?" Also kind of weird innuendo.
Seemed like an innuendo.
Yeah.
Feels nice and girthy in your hands now, huh?
And then he says, like, "Since you aren't going to join me, will you let me get out?" So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, weird. And then he says, you know, heat of the battle, it's justified, but a few hours later, it's vengeance. And he's like basically talking about the Jedi's rules are so flawed, you know. Your anger betrays you, your thoughts like Yoda-esque. You know, he's like you can tell he was a former Jedi by kind of the things he's saying. And he was a long time ago. So that is kind of an interesting line in how Soul didn't recognize him. Makes me wonder if he's like older than we think, maybe, or I don't know what's going on there, but a long time ago.
I think there's something to that, and I don't know what it is. At first, there were some theories that they were brothers, which kind of, the whole episode of episode 4 and 5 was day and then night with the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't, but yeah, I've heard the whole brothers theory. And now I'm seeing, he had those lined up about maybe he's way older than we think, but as far as I can recall, I mean, Palpatine still looked old as hell, even though he was powerful in the Sith Force. I can't think of a lot of humans that were able to extend their lifespan by like a couple hundred years or whatever.
Well, the dark side makes you age faster. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, so I don't know I think there's some conflict there in some of those theories. But felt like he said it for a reason. But maybe not, because the dialogue in The Acolyte hasn't been great. So maybe that was just a line, and it didn't really mean anything. I don't know. We'll see. But I did. So this whole episode, the only aspects I enjoyed was Kamir when he's talking.
Same.
I enjoyed listening to him, getting a little bit more fleshed out, his viewpoints and takes on certain stuff. Like, I really enjoyed. I liked how he was describing his helmet. He said there's a sensory deprivation aspect to it where it's just you and the Force and whatever you bring with you, but there's nothing else. It blocks out everything else. So I thought that was a super interesting little tidbit they gave us. So yeah, I did like the Kamir stuff. I'll talk about the other stuff later, but I did, other than just hitting you over the top of the head with the sexual innuendos and sexual tension. I thought it was a pretty good little aspect there. And I feel like Osha's going to turn. I get the feeling Osha and May are both going to just flip-flop here in a second, but...
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does have bars, though. Like when he says, Jedi teach there's only one way to access the Force, and if you don't do it their way, it fades. But there's another way below the surface. He's like, powerful emotions, anger, fear, loss, desire. So I like that kind of... Because Palpatine talks to Anakin about it a little bit in Revenge of the Sith, but I do like kind of getting these aspects of the dark side and how their philosophy and how they're thinking. And she says, that's the path to the dark side. And he's like, semantics. Like, you only get, like, surface level relationships. And then he asks why she's still not a Jedi. And she basically says, I left because I chose to. And he's like, nah, like, this pain and anger, they saw that and they threw you away. And then she says, because I failed. So I'm wondering if how she would have failed them as a child. They still haven't really talked about that either. Another teaser they're going to explain later, hopefully. Then she whips out the saber and puts it to his neck. And I'm sure he's thinking like Palpatine, good. So that's just what he wants, her to basically use her emotions, use her anger, and use that to her advantage. And he tells her that he was wrong with May. Like, I thought she wanted more than revenge. I thought she could actually be my acolyte, my apprentice. And all he wants is the power of two. So he's trying to fulfill this Sith prophecy with the power of two is, more than the power of one, the power of many. Yeah. But so what do you think about the scene where they're talking and she whips out the lightsaber, puts it to his neck, and she basically is about to give in to all of her emotions?
I didn't buy it. I didn't believe her emotions with this. So it was but actually this was one of my biggest gripes of the episode. And I'm curious if you saw it too. Maybe I was just being nitpicky, but the lightsaber didn't look real. It looked like I could feel I could see the prop to it. Like the VFX didn't seem like all the other lightsaber shots in the series have been fine, but I felt like I could see the plastic tube of the prop saber when she was holding it up to him. And I couldn't break away from looking at that the whole series. So that kind of took me out of it. But yeah, it was okay. I didn't really buy it, I guess, with her emotion. I didn't think she was going to do anything.
Right. Yeah, Osha's very persuadable, for sure. Like, she puts that helmet on at the end, like, this is dope. I'm dark side as fuck again.
I don't blame her. I'd probably put it on, too, if I saw that thing. It's pretty dope.
Right?
I'd try it on, but...
How do you see out of it, though?
You don't really.
Slits.
Yeah. That's the
Just
whole
the
sensory
Force.
deprivation, I guess. You just use the Force in your senses.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to May. So Soul is just going through it because he just lost everyone. And those look like attachments to me, but it's still great acting by, I forgot his name, Mr.
Squid Game.
Squid Game guy.
Yeah.
Senior. Because you can tell he's like displaying all these different emotions while he's crying, you know. So like,
Lee Jung-jae. I knew it the whole time. Yeah.
And he really doesn't know it's May while he's hugging her, or like, like he's right next to her, or maybe he's just messing around. But I don't think he is by the end of it. And he's gonna turn himself into the High Council and tell them everything, which is another kind of weird turn. And the ship is having major issues, and of course Basil finds out that it's May because of the pip droid. And there's like this slapstick humor scene with like oil sprayed to the face and stuff. A little goofy.
That, and so when the sniffer finds out it's May, which took you freaking long enough, you're terrible at your job.
Yeah, right?
Didn't it like run up and like stomp her foot and like take off or something? Like it was some goofy ass scene where I was like, what what was that? So I thought that was pretty goofy. Lee Jung-jae did a good job acting. I just felt like very emotional for a Jedi, first off. Very emotionally unstable. And yeah, I couldn't figure it out either. Because at the very end, though, he says it's May. He says, "Oh, May," and then he straps her up and whatnot. Ties her down, but like I couldn't figure out if he knew it was her the whole time or not. And if he didn't, I just think that's bad writing. I still don't understand how he wouldn't be able. I guess maybe you can say he's mentally shattered right now because Jackie and Yord got killed and he can't feel through the Force currently. Maybe that's an explanation. It just felt weird. Like you really can't tell that this is not the person you trained as like the master Jedi who can feel people's thoughts. You really are not picking up this is a totally different person. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they tried to show that when he tells her to like take over the ship controls.
Right.
He just like gets up and walks out of the room and like doesn't even like take a second. So maybe
yeah, she was about to kill him.
Right.
Or no, stun him. One of the two. She was aiming something at him. Yeah.
And he says, "How could I not have sensed the villain's true intentions?" It's like, bro, standing right in front of you right now. Like,
yeah,
you're not very good at this.
I was like the Kylo Ren Snoke. And he feels the anger, and he points his enemy at points the weapon at his true enemy, and it's him, and he just gets killed. It's like, oh my god, Snoke, tough look.
And of course, right when they're about to talk about Brendock, the ship fires up,
bro.
Like once again, getting a little tease, and then he stuns her ass. And this is a nitpick, and I guess they did have different destinations, but they probably should have crashed into each other in hyperspace. Like, he takes off into hyperspace, and they arrive out of hyperspace. So I know there's, like, hyperspace lanes and stuff, but maybe there's, like, two lanes going off of the planet in different directions. I feel like there's probably, like, one lane off the planet, then you, like, go on to something else off that, but...
You have the entering lane and the exiting lane, maybe.
Yeah, right? I guess that's it, but... He just took off into hyperspace straight off to the side, and then they came in from the other angle, so, but...
Yeah.
Nitpick.
But what is he doing? So he's just running from the... He just said, I'm going to tell the Jedi Council everything. And he knows they're on their way. He knows that Venestra...
Mm-hmm.
He knows she's on her... So I was like, why are you leaving now? And why aren't you telling... I swear, if they do one more freak... Well, they can't. It's the finale. So if they do...
They can.
Yeah, I'm not going to tune in for season 2 if they do it. I don't care. I'm freaking. You pull that crap, I'm done. There's not enough to hold me in right now as it is. If you don't tell us what happened in the season finale.
So yeah, Venestra arrives on Kofar. Jackie and Yord's dead bodies. That was kind of rough to see. Like, I liked Jackie a lot. So
yeah, same.
And we get the lightsaber whip. So
what'd you think?
A power. Not a big fan.
Okay. Okay.
And the scars on Kamir's back. So it looks like this could confirm that or not confirm, but pretty much confirmed that she was his master, and she was an abusive master who was whipping him with her lightsaber. So like, yeah, maybe I would probably turn to the dark side too if that was happening to me.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even take it as that. I think it is indicative that Venestra was his master, but I was just thinking it was they had a fallout, and in that fight, as they split apart, maybe that happened.
Back, though?
Yeah, I wasn't. Well, maybe he was running away, and yeah, I don't know, but I wasn't thinking of like Roots type, like master apprentice deal going on there.
That's what I was thinking.
That would be pretty brutal. Like maybe my mind didn't go there, but God, if that's the aspect, that is.
You
It's
failed
dark.
the mission. 20 lashes.
Makes me feel even worse about what I was gonna say.
Go for it.
I was gonna say I thought the whip was kind of cool, actually.
Oh,
wow. I didn't know what I was gonna feel about it. We saw a brief glimpse in the trailer, and again, this isn't originated here. It's happened in Legends. It's happened kind of somewhat in Clone Wars. But the scene happened, and I was like, it's kind of cool. But to that extent with the bug, I don't know how I'll feel about it if we get into an actual lightsaber fight. We'll see. But I was actually surprised that I didn't hate it.
Yeah, wait till you see she lassos someone's lightsaber and pulls it out of their hands.
Yeah, she starts Indiana Jones and people, then I'm out. But
and then she kind of whips him on the back a little.
But speaking of which, her Padawan, I'm not letting this dweeb get off the hook. This dude oh my gosh. I'm not even like, the things he's saying is so dumb. Oh, like it was probably the environment that killed the 8 Jedi masters, most of whom were masters. And then they get to the planet. He's like, oh, it was probably just the bugs then. And then he just immediately jumps to, maybe it was Soul. Maybe he killed everybody. It's like, bro, maybe you should stop guessing what the hell happened because you're a moron. Like,
maybe she should give him a couple whips, huh? Whip him into shape. She needs to get back to that
maybe
tactic.
That kid needs to get at least slapped a couple of times because my goodness, bro, what a pathetic Jedi he was.
And then May and Soul. May wakes up and Soul's been, this is what I've been waiting to say to you for 16 years. On the next episode of the Acolyte credits roll. Oh my god.
Will we find out what Soul did in May's childhood? Find out next time, or maybe not.
Episode 7. And we get a flashback, baby, back to Brendok. We see some classic Jedi survey work. A little metal detecting. And they've been there for a while, but haven't seen anything until Soul sees the twins. We revisit scenes from episode 3, but from a certain point of view. Osha did indeed start the fire. Soul killed her mom, and Endora all the witches, while Kanaka was possessed by one of them. Soul chooses Osha over May. Instead of just force-pulling children, he tries to hold up a bridge when he could have just easily lifted both of them off the ground and brought them towards him, right? I mean, that's a little bit easier than holding up a whole platform, but
terrible
that's
writing.
Just me. So, they're out... go ahead.
Quick editor's note. May started the fire, not Osha. I know that's what you meant, but you accidentally said Osha did indeed start the fire.
Whoops.
I got you. $5.
They're twins. So Tommen is down on his hope. He wants to go back to Coruscant. There was a hyperspace accident, and somehow this planet is thriving, which is kind of a cool little tease they did. I do like that, but who knows what even happened. Like, maybe 2 ships like crashed into each other right outside, and just like asteroids came to all the different planets in that system and destroyed them. Like, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, when there's massive wildfires, or like Chernobyl right now is flourishing after the whole nuclear boom bang. This crazy deal happened. Yeah, all of a sudden plant life started growing back like crazy, like it started flourishing. So I thought that aspect of it was somewhat interesting until they got deeper into it. But the first concept of it, I was like, oh, okay.
Well, you didn't like the Jedi, like
the virgins?
No.
I didn't like that, but
no, them like the metal detecting and like the picking up the moss off the ground and putting in a little scanner. Like, what are they like? They think the Force just created plant life, I guess, because they're talking about this virgins that happened.
That was so stupid. I was waiting for them to polish for fingerprints and stuff. I don't know what they were doing out there, but yeah.
And Solon and Dara have a little convo, and she says, "That's why I have a Padawan and you do not." And like, I was like, that was messed up, and Soul seemed kind of hurt by it. Like, whoa, take it easy.
None of that seemed Jedi Master like. That whole campfire had terrible dialogue, I felt. It just all felt unnatural, and it feels like there's zero chemistry between, I don't know if it's between Solon and Dara, or if it's between Carrie-Anne Moss and
Li Zhongzhe,
there you go. But it just feels like there's no chemistry there. And it didn't feel like wise Jedi having a conversation. It felt like 2 awkward people in an improv scene trying to like act out that they knew each other well, but it didn't land. I don't know. Their whole conversation just felt weird. And I will say, in defense of Carrie-Anne Moss, I know you said her scenes were great in episode 1.
I was about to go back to that.
I feel like it's the dialogue more than her. And the reason I say that is because she only comes off awkward to me during dialogue. When it's just her and her facial expressions and stuff, I can accept her as a wise Jedi Master and like a real person. But then whenever she speaks, it's like it immediately removes me from this reality we're in. So I don't know.
She still sounds like Keanu from The Matrix. Like she's going for that monotone style Jedi
it's Trinity
voice.
still, but it's just I just the words that are coming out of their mouths, the way they're speaking back and forth, it just felt like a video game conversation.
Yeah, right. And then Soul finds the twins in the same scene where May is like torturing the butterfly thing. He's creeping behind the tree later. Then he just walks up and rings the doorbell on their little like palace thing. Like probably not a good idea to just go up and try and open the door. Maybe figure something out first. He climbs the wall or the mountain. And somehow he saw every important scene. He was there for everything important that happened. He was around the corner. And he worries that the girls are in danger, which is odd to me. Like, they don't... I mean, I guess if you're just, like, so stuck in your Jedi ways, you might think they're in danger, but they seem like they're living a pretty normal life to me. Like, yeah, there's this ceremony going on tonight, but, like, it's their culture. Like, I don't understand how he thinks they're in such danger.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel very earned.
But they did actually think the planet was inhabited, I guess. They just found this... They thought a version of the Force kind of created some sort of life, but I guess they weren't lying after all, because we kind of thought they were, like... Because, you know, Aniessa says...
Mother
Aniessa.
Shit, I don't know. It's one of those.
When she says, you know, the all-knowing Jedi didn't know there was life on this planet. Like, yeah, they didn't know you guys specifically were there.
Right.
And then the Torben mind trick. And crazy she's doing all this while she's still conscious and, like, talking to other people. But she's trying to make him give in to his desires, and some more sexual innuendos in this convo too. And he's having some regrets right afterwards because he does give in and say, yeah, I do want to go home. And she's like, kneel, and he just gets straight down, like, or she pushes him down. So how'd you like that scene?
So I actually liked the way it was shot. I felt it was pretty trippy. I thought it was done in a pretty cool way. The way the witch took over his mind. Even though, voice. I was thinking, the sound engineering to it and everything, I thought it was done well. But I did think like, okay, he must be very. I get he's a Padawan, but he must be pretty weak-minded for her to be able to have a full-on conversation while doing this entire thing to him. Like she's not concentrating on him; she's talking to the Jedi while doing that. That's pretty insane. So he's got to be pretty weak-minded for that to happen. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess he's just a weak Padawan, and that's the story. My thing is, how does he go from this weak, quibbling Padawan, and he had that crazy turn out of left field later, all this weird stuff, and then 6 years later, he's a master, and he goes into that meditation state. I don't know. I guess I just can't see this character as a master at any point, especially when he was compromised. I don't know. I like the style, how they did the mind control. I just didn't like everything surrounding it.
Yeah, same here. He ages a lot in 16 years as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Soul feels like he's destined to train Osha. She's not safe here, he keeps saying. So he feels like he's just destined to train this girl. He's never had a Padawan before. And then we get the May testing scene, and she's down for the Coven. As we know, she fails the test on purpose. But she tells them about the Ascension. Everyone must be sacrificed to fulfill their destiny. I think that's the line that puts Soul over the edge. And it's not like that type of sacrifice where people are dying. It's like the sacrifice of giving in to the ways of this Coven, and like living this life now.
Yeah,
but they
giving
take
yourself
it in, like,
up to be a part of the Coven.
They take the literal sense. Yeah.
Right.
And it seems like Indara doesn't want to take either twin with them. She's like definitely against messing with this Coven overall.
Yeah.
And she says, the council says we've interfered too much already. Don't alter this girl's destiny because you have an emotional attachment to her. So she's kind of, in the end, she's right, which I thought she would be more kind of behind things, but she was trying to prevent this situation.
She was right. He did form an emotional attachment way too quickly. He never even spoke to her. He just saw her from a distance. It was like, and it was right after the burn of, you don't even have a Padawan. That's why.
Right.
It's like, okay, that kind of feels like he's still bitter about that comment. He's like, no, I was destined. I was destined to have this Padawan here, right here. That's the one.
I want this child. Take her from her family.
Is it Osha or May? I don't know. One of them. One of them for sure, though. At least one of them I'm destined to be. That's my Padawan. So that felt weird. The testing. Okay, so they bring the twins in to do the testing. May fails on purpose intentionally. And then for some reason, right after doing that, just decides to tell the Jedi everything about every detail she knows. Like, she was so against them, she failed the test on purpose, and then she starts literally telling them everything, which was odd. But I was confused by it. So Osha comes in, and it looked... I was kind of starting to fall asleep towards the end of it. Maybe that was the reason. But it looked like Endara was, like, messing with the test. Like, when Osha was reading it, and Saul had the screen he was looking at, and then, like, Endara closed her eyes... And then when she opened it, she like guessed the right thing that was on the screen. And I was like, did she just manipulate the test to make it seem like she passed? Like, I don't know. I was super confused by the whole way the scene was shot. And I came away not knowing. But then I was like, why would she make her pass if she's telling Sol to not take her? So I don't know. I thought it was not shot clearly at all. And I don't think they should have used a lot of the same scenes we saw in episode 3. I think they should have spent more time on an alternate.
They shouldn't have spent an entire episode doing the same thing again.
Right, especially when a third of the episode was the same exact scenes we saw in the first one. Like, if you're going to do that, make it all different with, like, tiny hints at something that... I don't know.
Right.
It felt like a waste of an episode.
Or if the story is so good, you could pull that off, you know? But
Totally.
if the story's mid overall, it's like, yeah, let's go back and watch this episode we didn't love in the first place.
I think that's the problem. There just wasn't enough substance to it in the first place to have an alternate point of view type episode. There just wasn't enough there in the story as it was.
And just when they thought they couldn't piss off sweaty Star Wars fans anymore, they have an extremely high M count, midichlorians.
Yeah.
This is one consciousness split into two. This is the Vergence and the Force they were notified of. So this is kind of like Anakin. You know, it's kind of confirming that they had the same kind of birth as Anakin where the Force created them. And Tormund's all about that prophecy, and he wants to go home. So he hops on the speeder bike.
What was that? It goes,
I don't know.
All right, we're testing this. Only a Vergence in the Force could do that. All right, we gotta freaking go, and he just takes off. Like, what? That was...
I'm out of here.
That was so out of left field. It was like, what? All of a sudden he's aggressive and he's pushing while all of his masters are saying stop. Like, that came out of nowhere. That felt like it was...
Unless it had to do with the mind trick, maybe.
I guess, yeah. They just didn't make that very explicit, especially when he showed up and was pulling his lightsaber out on them and stuff. Like, it's not like he... I thought he was going to show up and be like, all right, I brought Saul to you or something. Like, but he just stayed angry at them the whole... I was so confused by it. I don't know. That just felt so out of left field.
And Coral, the Zabrak mother, turns May into an animal and tells her to go get Osha. Not like an actual animal, but like fires her up like, yeah, you're not going to let her go, are you? You go get her right now. And she's like, yeah. And like practices her force push and everything. Like, okay. Locks her in a room. And this was another part I did not understand at all. So we thought the big mystery was May didn't start the fire, but she did.
Yeah.
She lights this like page on fire and then immediately goes, "Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Why is this on fire?" And then like drops it on the ground and tries to stomp it out. It's like, when you put something up to fire, guess what? It gets lit on fire. And then she like immediately regretted all of her decisions. Like what was that?
Oh, that's why the Jedi want her to be on Coruscant. The education on this planet is just absolutely garbage. They don't know what the hell happened. Fire starts when you put flames next to parchment? What the hell is this? Dude, that was terrible. The fire starts. It starts shooting up all the controls. It goes crazy. She runs out panicking. And the other scene with her, which when I sent a text talking about, this was on par with the Leia hiding in a trench coat scene from Kenobi, was when the Zabrak mother is like, all right, again, kind of gets her hyped up, and she runs and smashes the controls and stomps away, like trying to be intimidating, like a badass walk, and goes, no one can get in or no one can get out. And then the Zabrak, in a super corny way too, goes, witches.
And then Anasea goes full Thanos snap to help her kid out when May comes crying for help. And Sol just kills her.
Oh,
Like, what the fuck are you doing? So, like, what, you think she was gonna go kill her kid? Like,
he has no idea what's happening. This witch
just
just
like,
turns to dust, and he goes, "Better put my lightsaber in there."
Yeah, like,
What? Cool.
and how could she still be killed while in dust form? I feel like that would, like, make you... It
You
was
think
weird.
she'd float away from it instead of reforming so it's in the center of her chest, but like the whole scene was just like, what the hell just happened right there?
I don't know.
Fired. She turns into dust. Soul just stabs her through the heart, and now things just escalated pretty quickly there. Like it felt just so rushed and all over the place. Like,
And then she turns to Soul and says, I was going to let Osha go. Like, I was going to let her become a Jedi. And he's probably like, oh, fuck. Like, I just fucked up so bad. Like, I just
you
don't
don't
get
understand.
Soul this episode.
no, I don't. He was an idiot. Like, he was an idiot. I don't know. He was just super emotionally unstable. He did not come off as a Jedi at all, and he didn't look young enough to be a dumb Jedi Padawan. Like, so I don't know. He just not a great look for our guy Soul in this episode.
I did like this little quick fight scene we got with Tommen deflecting the arrows, or
That was
Corbin.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, that was cool seeing. And then Soul versus Coral was a cool little quick fight scene we got where he was basically not trying to hurt her, just defending himself. But
yeah.
it was all right. But I think actually the best fight scene is when the Wookiee Jedi gets possessed. So we didn't think we'd see him in action, and I guess if this is the one way we see it, I'll take it. Which is Coral does the same kind of, dusty black mist, goes inside of him, baby. And he's so powerful though, like the way he was fighting both of them at the same time, force pushed them back up against the wall, like they flew 20 feet fast and like
Right.
slammed up against it. So, but Soul is so good hand to hand, like when it's like when he's not exactly using his lightsaber, he's just trying to disarm someone or like take them down. He's really good at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this fight scene. It was solid. The only thing I was bummed about is the whole thing I was excited to see was a Wookiee Jedi, and that's not really what we got out of this, because it was really a Wookiee Sith with this type of fight scene. Like, it was pure rage he was fighting with. It wasn't a Jedi Wookiee. But that was cool. Yeah, he's obviously much stronger than your typical human. He was jumping pretty damn high there. Maybe it was force jump, maybe it was a Wookiee jump, I don't know. But I think this scene could have been great, but it lost some of its greatness because there weren't stakes. Because we knew everybody in that fight was going to survive, unfortunately.
Or we knew when they died.
Yes, yeah, they're going to survive this fight, though. We knew nobody was dying in this fight, and I feel like if we didn't know that, I would have thought, like, Kelnaka's going to at least kill Torben, like, because he's a beast. It was still fine. I'm not saying it was a bad fight. I just think it really could have been a very intense watching experience if there were some stakes there. Unfortunately, there weren't. But what about the next scene where they stop Kelnaka? What did you think about stopping the witches there by Indara?
Yeah, so Indara performs this exorcism, basically.
Force exorcism.
And so I guess not just Coral was possessing the Wookiee. It was
Entire coven.
all of them. And I guess they were, like, connected through their minds. I don't know if what Indara did killed them or just breaking that possession took them all out.
Yeah.
I'm confused by that. So when it comes to this whole mystery, like, they kind of overhyped it. And, like, does this whole thing need a cover-up? Like, what did the Jedi exactly do that's wrong that needs to be covered up? Nothing.
Exactly.
They didn't do anything wrong.
Dude, that was my note about the episode. Just kind of felt wasted because they didn't have a lot of runtime. They overlapped a lot of it with episode 3, and it didn't feel like a reason to cause a massive cover-up. The witches were training kids in the Force, which is not allowed in the Republic.
Right.
They called them out on it. They started chanting and moved to attack us. While that happened, one of their kids started a fire and burned the whole place down. And also, there was such a threat, they mind controlled 2 of our Jedi at once and forced one to attack us. So we killed in self-defense. The end. Why does there need to be a massive conspiracy cover-up over this? It just, the writing again to this was like, that just doesn't check out. Like, why would you need to do that?
Yeah.
Like, they were a threat.
So maybe that is how May turns back to the light in this last episode after Soul, because I'm sure this whole episode was Soul kind of telling the story to May as she's locked in the bed, right?
If we get Mother Anastasia's point of view next episode, I'm gonna lose it.
And then, like we talked about, Soul tries to save both of them, but he picks Osha. Like you can see him make that mental decision, like, I can only save one now, which doesn't make sense. Once again, like, I think you're powerful enough to hold up 2 small children.
Yeah, what the hell?
But he wanted them to be safe, and Indara's like, but he had no thought of the consequences. Like, yeah, you wanted this one child to be safe, but look at what happened now. Everyone's dead, and we have to cover up this thing that doesn't need covering up.
Dude.
But she has a good point. She's like, well, it's too late now. You might as well train her. Like, you did all this shit. Like, might as well just go through with it.
Her entire life is ruined. You might as well keep the ball rolling on this plan.
Yeah, don't destroy her dream as well, and her entire family.
Dude, yeah, I watched Kanan hold off an entire explosion of a fuel cell that was the size of a small moon.
And he wasn't even trained.
Master Soul can't hold up 2 40-pound girls with each hand. You don't have the force strength to be able to focus and hold. There's no way they combined for over like 110 pounds. Like, you couldn't pull them both at the same time. Like, that was such a weak. And then he sprints. He lets May go, and then he sprints to grab Osha physically with his arm. Like, he caught her with his arm and grabbed her before she fell. It's like, is the force gone right now? I don't.
It's like, come on, you never played Force Unleashed? You can only use the force for a little bit, then the bar goes down and you have to wait a second to use the force again.
He used his entire bar to hold the bridge in place instead of just... He used the entire bar to hold the massive piece of steel bridges in place instead of just picking up both the 50-pound children and bringing them to him. Like, it was pretty dumb, man. It was pretty dumb concept there.
So I think we've given our overall thoughts pretty much on these last 2 episodes and throughout this, if you haven't been listening.
I do want to say, I wasn't immediately judgmental of the show. I didn't review bomb it. I was hoping for the best. I gave it every benefit of the doubt I could. Even like episode 5 re-sparked my hope. But I'm calling it, man. It's just not a good show. It's barely above... I don't even know if it's above the Book of Boba Fett. I guess the finale depends on that, because that at least had 3 solid episodes. This has only had 1. It's just not a quality series in any way outside of action choreography. The action's been great, but that's the only aspect of it that's above average. And
Khmer.
And if you enjoy it, more power to you. Honestly, I'm kind of jealous because I'd love for there to be a weekly release of episodes right now of a Star Wars series that I really liked. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So if you do enjoy it, more power to you. I don't, everybody likes their own thing. But for me, it's just not a good show. It's not even a 7 out of 10 for me at this point.
No.
And it got sold as this kind of Sith perspective kind of a story. And the only way it's really felt like that is kind of their blatant attempt at making the Jedi come off poorly. Because all the Jedi in this episode felt emotionally unstable. Like, nobody felt like a calm, wise Jedi that we've seen. And so it just kind of defeats the purpose of what a Jedi is for me. So I'll watch the finale.
Right. I hope they don't cancel the show. Like, I hope it doesn't get that bad of a review to where they don't even do season 2. I would like to see, because I'm guessing the farther the show goes on, the more dark side perspective we see. I'm just hoping for that. Because I just don't understand why they can't just make a show about 2 Sith going around. Like, make it about a dark side Sith and his apprentice. Like, that's all you got to do. It doesn't have to be about all these Jedi in the High Republic and why. We know why they fell. We know why they messed up. We've seen the prequels.
Yeah.
The High Republic is probably starting to tell that story anyways. Just go dark side and everyone will love it.
Yep. And they just didn't do that here. The majority of it's been Jedi being dumb and twins wrestling with what happened as in their childhood. There's no aspect of it that's a Sith acolyte following the path of the Sith in the darkness. Like, there was like 1.5 episodes of that, and I don't know. And again, this is the only show my wife has started to watch with me and then been like, you can finish it. I'm good. Like, every other Star Wars show she's watched with me, she enjoys it. I don't know if she enjoyed Book of Boba Fett, but this is the first one when the 2-episode premiere ended. She looked at me and said, this isn't very good, and has had no interest in continuing watching. And I can't say I blame her at this point.
Right. A wife's non-biased, like super informed opinion is normally the right one.
It's usually at least pretty level-headed. Like, it's at least,
Right.
you know, a reasonable take. You know, it's not biased by any means. So,
No.
yeah, I'm with her.
Well, we will be covering the finale next week. Of course, we will finish it. We don't start something we don't finish. So please join us next time and check out our coverage of House of the Dragon episode 5. That's something we look forward to. That's something we love covering.
Can't wait. That's quality right there. That's quality TV right there. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. Andy, I'm talking to you. Go watch House of the Dragon. Give it a freaking chance, man. Come on.
Andy.
If you watched 5 seasons of Game of Thrones and you weren't hooked, then it just might not be for you. But you gotta give it a chance. It's too good of a show to not give a chance. Looking at you, Andy.
5 seasons and you stop. You're crazy.
Shout out Galactic
After
Core
Battle
Podcast.
of the Bastards? He watched Battle of the Bastards and Jon Snow died and then stopped. Is that
No, that's in season 6.
No, that's 6.
Yeah, because I'm just finishing 5 right now. But 5's hard
Spoiler
home.
alert.
It's 5 is hard home, and then something happens to Jon Snow at the end of season 5.
Oh, so that is season 5.
And then season 6 is Battle of the Bastards.
Melisandre. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Dave, for joining me tonight. Had fun covering this show. It was still a good time. You know, even if the show's not great, we still have a good time here. We like to have fun around here at Why So Sidious, a Nerd Podcast. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.